We talk about the internet as if it lives in the clouds, a magic invisible signal that follows us everywhere we go, but the truth is far more grounded and far more fragile. Over 99% of all global internet traffic doesn't travel through space. It travels through roughly 500 fibre optic cables lying on the dark, freezing floors of the world's oceans. These are the arteries of the modern world, carrying your next Netflix binge, your bank transfers, and even encrypted military orders. Everything. And right now, those arteries are under threat in a way most governments didn't want to disclose publicly. Until recently, that is, as they had no choice. In April 2026, the UK's Ministry of Defence went public with something remarkable. For over a month, the Royal Navy and the RAF, alongside allies, had been running a covert high-stakes operation in the North Atlantic, tracking Russian assets in and around Britain's waters. But here's the detail that stopped people cold. Defence Secretary John Healey revealed that a Russian Akula-class attack submarine was almost certainly acting as a decoy. While Britain watched the Akula, additional vessels from Gugi, Russia's highly secretive deep-sea research unit, were conducting what Healey called nefarious activity near Britain's undersea cables themselves. Gugi exists to find, map, tap, or in a conflict, sever undersea infrastructure. RAF aircraft logged over 450 flight hours tracking them. Royal Navy ships covered thousands of nautical miles, and eventually the message got through. The Russian vessels retreated, but Healey's closing line was deliberate.
And to President Putin I say, we see you, we see your activity over our cables and our pipelines, and you should know that any attempt to damage them will not be tolerated and will have serious consequences.
The big question is, what happens when seeing isn't enough? So what actually happens when these cables go down? We're constantly told a digital detox is good for us. Put the phone down, disconnect, be present. But what if that wasn't a choice? What if the detox was forced on every single person, every government, simultaneously? Spoiler alert, it wouldn't feel very zen. In the first few minutes, you'd think it's just your Wi-Fi. You'd reboot the router. Nothing loads. You'd try calling someone, and here's where it gets interesting. Basic calls between people on the same network might still connect, but WhatsApp, FaceTime, any internet-based call, dead. And forget checking whether it's just you. Every app, every website, every stream has flatlined. It's not you just offline, it's the entire world. Within 15 minutes, the scale of it starts to land. Streaming is dead. Netflix, YouTube, everything. You won't be catching the latest Distilled by Dave, that's for sure. Flip to a basic TV aerial channel, and you might still get a picture. Many still run over radio broadcast signals, not the internet. But the moment your broadcaster's own data systems go down, that's gone too. Meanwhile, in the skies, planes already airborne land safely. Pilots train for exactly this. But the network systems that coordinate radar, flight planning, and airspace management across thousands of aircraft simultaneously, severely compromised. Departures grounded. Airspace quietly seizes up. Back on the ground, modern smart power grids use real-time data to balance supply and demand across thousands of nodes. Lose that data feed and some grids begin to foul. Blackouts don't happen instantly, but they will start to cascade. By the 40-minute mark, supply chains have stalled and card payments are down. Cash is king again, except even that gets complicated. Most supermarket tills are networked. No internet means no prices, no stock systems. Suddenly, it's not just what you can pay with, it's whether anyone can actually sell to you. Local trade, bartering, knowing your neighbours, that becomes the only game in town. And in certain capitals, military commanders, blinded, cut off from allies, start making decisions based on worst case assumptions. That's the moment a cable cut stops being an infrastructure problem and becomes something far more dangerous. Russia in the North Atlantic is one pressure point, but the world's most structurally exposed cables run through the Middle East. We all know now that the Strait of Hormuz is critical for global oil trade, but on the surrounding seabed sit cables like the AAE1 and the Falcon, part of a cluster that handles nearly a quarter of the data flowing between Europe and Asia. The real vulnerability here isn't depth, it's concentration. Because of decades of political tension with Iran, every cable was routed through Omani waters as it crossed the strait, meaning they all follow near identical paths through the same narrow corridor. One well-placed cut, accidental or deliberate, and the redundancy that engineers spent years building into the system disappears in the blink of an eye. Iran has recently restricted commercial traffic through the strait, with reports of sea mines in the region. There's no confirmed evidence Tehran is targeting the cables directly, at least not yet, but that potential threat alone has sent insurance costs skyward, meaning potential repair vessels couldn't safely enter these dangerous waters. We have already seen what that looks like. When Red Sea cables were severed during Houthi attacks in recent years, internet speeds across Africa and parts of Asia dropped for months. Not because the damage couldn't be fixed, but because no repair ship could safely reach it. The damage wasn't just the cut, it was the wait to fix it. You might be wondering about Starlink. Honest answer? No, not at this scale, not yet. A single undersea cable the size of a garden hose can move more data per second than an entire satellite constellation. Starlink was built for remote areas without fibre, not as a backup for the global undersea system. So what could you actually do? 3 things. Keep a battery-powered AM/FM radio. In a genuine blackout, it may be your only reliable news source. Keep some physical cash, not a fortune, but enough so you're not entirely dependent on systems that need a working internet to function. And stay informed, because the governments and militaries that understand this threat are already acting on it. The next conflict may not begin with a missile or a siren. It may begin with silence, a quiet, calculated cut thousands of meters beneath the ocean surface, in water so cold and dark that by the time anyone reaches it, the damage is already done. The seabed's undersea cables are the new front line, and most of us have no idea that they are even there. I'm Dave, and before you go, I have a question. If the grid went dark right now, what's the one thing you'd miss most? Drop it in the comments, I read every one. Check out my other videos if you want more of this kind of thing, and if you're new here, a subscribe really goes a long way for my channel, because these stories are far from over.